speaking about Krishna as enlivening and preparing is the exhausting part. The speaking isn't the exhausting part. This set of slides is a revised version that somebody sent last night at about 8 o'clock. I'm not satisfied with this like I was with the Narayan discussion this morning. That was very well composed and tight. And so this isn't the same, but maybe another time around it will become like that. So Badrinath, when we conducted this yatra last year, it was called the Badrinath Yatra, but we only went there at the very last day. So it was like, it wasn't really a Badrinath Yatra, it was a many, many other things plus Badrinath Yatra. And it was, the visit was so enlivening, the whole experience was so enlivening, that Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, we were conducting this event together, and he said, next year or in a couple years, let's go to the other places, Yamunotri and Gangotri, and well, let's do that. And I was like, yeah. But that's not what's going to happen. We're going to Nepal, and then we're going to, because the Chinese devotees, it's very uncertain if they're going to get visas. Super iffy. I mean, there's nominal acknowledgement, but so Nepal, they don't need a visa to get to Nepal. And then whoever can get a visa to India, right after that will go to Vrindavan. That's the plan. And not to Badrinath, Gangotri, Yamunotri, Kedarnath. Another time. But Badrinath is a very special place. It's way, way up there. I mean, to go by bus, which most of the devotees went by bus, it's a long bus journey, but with the words, once in a lifetime. So that was the plan. And it's way up there. You'll see, the height of Badrinath. It's in elevation. It's in the mountains. It's not at the foothills. It's in the mountains. So the plan, here's the plan. Where is it? Some of the deities in Badrinath, outside the main temple entrance, there's carvings, columns of the Dasavatar, forms of the Lord. Just inside, there's the first deity that one greets or is greeted by is Ganesh. And then Shalagram Shilas, abundant Shalagram Shilas, because it's way up north, so it's very near Nepal, and they have a lot of Shalagram, and meets with Vyasadeva. And you can see that's many, many slides with that. So that's our covering the topic. Here's a photograph of the river Ganga, or a branch of the river Ganga, the Alaknanda tributary, 10,200 feet above sea level. On the western bank, so we're looking north, the mountains are in the background, so we're looking north, and the western side is on our left side of this photograph. So that's where Badrinath is, and the river already we heard, the Sapta Sarovar, the seven tributaries further down. But even before we get to the seven tributaries further down, the Ganga divided into 5 main branches. And it's a lot of water. There's a lot of melting of glacier water, but in the wintertime it makes up for it, because whenever it's snow, just packs and becomes a glacier. Notice those twin mountains in the background. That's the Narayan Mountains. Towering above the temple, so that's the temple on the left. There's not a lot of pilgrims, but that's the temple on the left. There's the 2 mountains. Said to be the 2 rishis, but representing the 2 rishis, so that they could stay near Badrinath. Badrinath is the name of the main deity in the temple. And that, just notice the temple just disappeared. And instead, it's the same photograph. No, just that this is further upstream. Further upstream. We heard this already in the morning session, but nearby at Kṣetra Prayag, 8 kilometers north, this is the ashram where Dharma and his wife Murti engaged in austerities prior to having their sons, Narayan, as their sons. This, again, is plural. Outside the main temple, you can see the mountains in the background. Outside the main temple, there's columns or pillars, and on those pillars there's carvings. And the carvings are depicting very beautifully, very artistically, very well done, the 10 essential avatar, Das Avatar, celebrated 10 essential avatars. Some of you have been around for a while, and so you know what Paribhasa Sutra is. Some of you haven't been around so much, so you may not know what that is. In the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a special, in scriptures in general, there's a Paribhasa Sutra. It's like that which defines the meaning and purpose of all the other verses of that text. Though there's a Paribhasa Sutra for Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is the verse that says that Krishna is the Supreme. He's the source of all avatars. He's the source of everything. Those of you that know the verse, we can say it together. Ete changsa kala pungsa Krishnasto Bhagavan Swayam Indrayani Lokam Mridayanti Yoge Yoge. Letters are very small, but all of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the devotees or the theists. So, how that's connected to visiting Badrinath, it's a matter of understanding the context. Badrinath is an expansion of the original source. It's one of the unlimited expansions. Unlimited like how many waves are there in the ocean. Stand at the edge of the ocean and count how many waves. You'll be busy for a long time. There's no counting. There's that many incarnations. So here's the verse that's immediately after this Paribhasha Sutra. In this particular stanza, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is distinguished from other incarnations. He is counted among the avatars because out of his causeless mercy the Lord descends from his transcendental abode. And it's an important understanding. That is to say, in that list that precedes this most important verse, Krishna is listed amongst the avatars. And then after listing Krishna amongst the avatars, the speaker, Sutta, turns around and says Krishna is the source of all the avatars. Because he, Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, is the source of Narayana, who is the source of all the avatars. So Krishna appears as an avatar of Narayana or of Vishnu, and Krishna is the source. So he's one of the avatars, but he's the source of the one who's exhibiting or manifesting the various avatars. And the purport for this verse, avatara means one who descends. All the incarnations of the Lord, including the Lord himself, descend to the different planets of the material world, as also in different species of life to fulfill particular missions. Continuing, sometimes he comes himself, sometimes his different plenary portions or parts of his plenary portions, or differentiated portions, directly or indirectly empowered by him, Shaktavaisha avatars, descend to this material world to execute certain specific functions. So his will, and they manifest according to his will. Continuing, same purport. Originally, the Lord is full of all opulences, all prowess, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation when they are partially manifested through the plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions. It should be noted that certain manifestations of his different powers are required for those particular functions. So it's selective. And Krishna knows, and he manifests according to what he knows and what is needed. Continuing, when in the room small electric bulbs are displayed, it does not mean that the electric powerhouse is limited by the small bulbs. The same powerhouse can supply power to operate a large-scale industrial dynamos with greater volts. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display, what happened? It stopped displaying on my computer too. It's on strike. When they are partly manifested through the plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions, it should be noted we did that. Okay, small bulbs. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. So interesting graphics just showing what the statement is showing. There's a powerhouse and sometimes more, sometimes less power, depending upon the necessity. For example, now there's a whole lot of text just to expand, and it's a nice understanding. It's not an understanding that's essential to grasp Badrinath. But again, I got this at 8 o'clock last night, and before I do... Shri Shri Radharita Madhava Ki Jai. I'll probably modify to some extent. Lord Nrsingadev displayed unusual opulence by killing the greatly powerful atheist Hiranyakashipu. That's the graphic of Hiranyakashipu. How do you like that? Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that even the demigods in other planets would tremble simply by the unfavorable raising of his eyebrows. Powerful person. The demigods in the higher level of material existence many, many times excel the most well-to-do human beings in duration of life, beauty, wealth, paraphernalia, and all other respects. Still, they were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Thus, we can simply imagine how powerful Hiranyakashipu was in the material world. So this is the person that put this together is just taking little passages from that same purport, 1.3.28, and illustrating it, taking the text and then illustrating the text. But even Hiranyakashipu was cut into small pieces by the nails of Lord Nrsimha. This means that anyone materially powerful cannot stand the strength of the Lord's nails. Similarly, Jamadagni displayed the Lord's power to kill all the disobedient kings powerfully situated in their respective estates. Lord Parashuram displayed unusual opulence by killing the disobedient Kshatriyas 21 times. How do you kill someone 21 times? He traveled around and he was like, leave no Kshatriya untouched. He chopped them all. The explanation given is whoever killed his father wasn't all the kings. Rather, he was just, it was an opportune time, because at that time there were not just the kings that killed his father, but there were many, many, many degraded kings, not qualified kings. And so it was the opportunity that he exhibited his anger and chopped them all, because, to rid the earth of demoniac kings. Now there's a very interesting graphic of Lord Varaha up the top. The Lord's empowered incarnation of Narada and his plenary incarnation, Varaha, as well as indirectly empowered Lord Buddha, created faith in the mass of people. The incarnation of Rama and Dhanvantari displayed his fame. Balaram, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited his beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kurma, and Kapila exhibited his transcendental knowledge. Narayan Rishis exhibited his renunciation. We heard a lot about Narayan Rishi this morning. All the different indirectly or directly empowered incarnations, that's Shaktivesh, out of the categories of avatars, that's one of the categories, manifested different features, but Lord Krishna, primeval Lord, exhibited the complete features of Godhead, and thus it is confirmed that he is the source of all other incarnations. Well, not just, there's symptoms, But there's tattva in addition to symptoms. And one who knows the tattva can understand the symptoms. Through the symptoms, one can deduce the tattva, but it's the tattva that's authoritative. Now, this is Jiva Goswami's painting, and he's going to say the same thing. Because of time, I'm not going to read it. And now we're going back to the Badrinath. Now, inside the gate of Badrinath, there's gatekeepers, Ganesh and Hanuman, and there's also a Murti of Garuda. So this shows they're fairly large deities, and it's a very important part of anyone who visits is to offer respect to the gatekeepers. If you want to get entrance, you make friends with the gatekeepers. And Garuda, because all of them, these three that are mentioned, they're servants of Lord Badrinath. One should begin the worship of the demigod Ganapati, who drives away all impediments in the execution of devotional service. In Brahma Samhita, quoting Prabhupada's Nectar Devotion, it is stated that Ganapati worships the lotus feet of the Shingadev. What's the verse? Who knows the verse? Who likes Brahma Samhita knows the verse? Don't just blurt it out. Raise your hand. No one knows? The verse is indicating there are tumuli, like protrusions on the top of the head of an elephant. And the verse says that Govinda places his lotus feet. Commentary by Bhaktisiddhanta says it's the expansion of Govinda in the form of Lord Nrsingadev, and he places his lotus feet upon the tumuli, the two protrusions on the top of the elephant's head. Ganapati or Ganesh. And there gets the empowerment as Lord Nrsingadev protects the devotee. Ganapati or Ganesh gives protection to those who are doing karmakanda rituals to remove obstacles. So we worship Lord Nrsingadev, and those that are doing karmakanda rituals, they worship Ganesh or Ganapati. And Ganapati gets his power from the lotus feet of Nrsingadev on his tumuli. From Nectar Devotion, same point. He, Ganapati, is auspicious for the devotees in clearing out all impediments. Therefore, all devotees should worship Ganapati. Now, our worship of Ganapati is by worshiping the Lord of Ganapati, Lord Nrsingadev. All devotees should worship Lord Nrsingadev, who gives powers to Ganapati. Here's the translation. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesh upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head, in order to obtain the power for his function of destroying all obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. That's karmakanda. One more go. Anyone? I'll start to say it, and so if I'll say the first line, and if you know the rest after I say the first line, you please raise your hand. Yat pada pallava yugam vedadaya kumbha. I hear mostly female voices. Any male voices? It's Yat pada pallava yugam vedadaya kumbha dvandve pranama samanat. Nadirajaha Bighan Vahantam Adam Asya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tambaham Bhajami. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta translates it as Tumali, but the Sanskrit is Kumbha. What's a Kumbha? Huh? Yeah, it's like Kumbh Mela. It's a vessel, a bowl. So there's these protrusions on his head that are called kumbhas, but tumuli. Anyway. Going further to 11th canto, one should know that the Acharya as myself, and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. So this is a message that one should not disrespect Ganapati or Ganesh, but should respect him. Now, we are not required to worship him, but we are required to respect all living entities, and he's one of all living entities. He's the dear devotee of Lord Nrsimhadev, so we respect him. Then we go past those three deities, Garuda, Hanuman, and Ganapati or Ganesh. Just inside the gate, there's Garuda, and there's two gatekeepers. We saw the murtis. Then keep going. There's a very large Shalagram Shila. The Shalagram Shila that's on the altar was brought there by Adi Shankaracharya, the original Shankaracharya. And he personally engaged in worship in Badrinath. The Prabhupada makes a comment that the impersonalists, they like Badrinath, and the devotees, they like Vrindavan. Impersonalists, they don't so much like Vrindavan. It's not like the devotees don't so much like Badrinath, but it's, that this special is Vrindavan or Puri or places where intimate pastimes of the Lord were performed. Moving on to Canto 9, there's a whole series of verses from Canto 9 because they're focusing on Sudarshan Chakra. Because along with this deity of Shalagram, there's a worship of Sudarshan Chakra. Here's the verse from Canto 9, Chapter 5. Most favorite of Achyuta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you. This is Ambarish offering prayers to the Sudarshan Chakra that's bearing down on Durvasa Muni because he made a boo-boo. And Sudarshan Chakra didn't like it because he was attempting to kill Maharaj Ambarish, his dear devotee. So, you have thousands of spokes. O Master of the material world, destroyer of all weapons, original vision of the personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Kindly give shelter and be auspicious to this Brahmana. So the Brahmana is Durvasa Muni, who's falling at the feet of Maharaj Ambarish, and Maharaj Ambarish is gesturing to Sudarshan Chakra. Show mercy upon this Brahmana, Durvasa Muni. He's a nice fellow. Yeah, he tried to kill me, but he's a nice fellow. And he's very sorry. Oh, Sudarshan wheel, you are religion, you are truth, you are encouraging statements, you are sacrifice, and you are the enjoyer of the fruits of sacrifice. You are the maintainer of the entire universe, and you are the supreme transcendental prowess in the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the original vision of the Lord, and therefore You are known as Sudarshana. So it tells us how he got his name. Sudarshana, Sudarshana. By your presence, there's vision, there's transcendental vision, that's Sudarshana. Everything has been created by your activities, and therefore you are all-pervading. And then in the purport, Prabhupada writes, the word Sudarshana means auspicious vision. Sudarshana. More. This is Lord Vishnu holding, he's got 2 chakras, not just one. From Vedic instructions, we understand that this material world is created by the glance of the Supreme Person. Sa Aikshata and Sa Asrajata. By glancing. The Supreme Personality of Godhead glanced over the Mahatattva, or the total material energy. And when it was agitated, everything came into existence. Do we know that? By his glancing. He glanced over pradhan, or material nature. And when through his glance, the material nature was impregnation. His glance impregnated material nature. And once the living entities entered into material nature, the material nature became agitated or impregnated. And things started to happen, because otherwise it's dormant. This material energy, dormant, but now activated. Western philosophers, this is Prabhupada's, one of his favorite themes. Western philosophers sometimes think of that the original cause was a chunk that exploded. Now, just this morning, I was listening to a recording of Srila Prabhupada speaking about the chunk theory, because I didn't know where he got this chunk thing. And he said recently, Swarup Damodar was reading a paper, a scientific paper that had this chunk theory, once upon a time. And then Prabhupada was challenging. The universe's life came from a chunk. Where did the chunk come from? What exploded the chunk? What sent it in all directions and produced life? That they do not know. But it's just like, I don't know where, that perhaps in this paper that Swarup Damodar was reading, they used the word chunk. So that became like a standard vocabulary for Prabhupada. Chunk theory. If one thinks of this chunk as the total material energy, the Mahatattva, one can understand that the chunk was agitated by the glance of the Lord. And thus the Lord's glance is the original cause of material creation. The causation principle has different parts. Prabhupada doesn't reveal it. He just challenges one part. There's the material cause and there's the efficient cause. He doesn't get into it because that's Vedic. He just says, where'd the chunk come from? The glance is the efficient cause. What's the material cause? The elements. Next verse. Oh, Sudarshana. Now, all of this is because entering into the temple along with Shalagram Shila, there's a Sudarshana. Shila. And, it's Sudarshana Shila is one of the types of Shalagram Shilas. Literally, embedded within the Shila itself is this mark of, it's very clear, it's a chakra. It's a type of Shalagram Shila. Looks like Sudarshan chakra. Oh, Sudarshana, you have a very auspicious hub, and therefore You are the upholder of all religion. You are just like an inauspicious comet for the irreligious demons. So Sudarshan Chakra is a problem for the demons. Indeed, you are the maintainer of the three worlds. You are full of transcendental effulgence. You are as quick as the mind, and you are able to work wonders. I can simply utter the name, the word Namaha, offering obeisances unto you. When in doubt, how to offer prayers, just Namaha is fine. It's offering obeisances. Like when Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, 4 things that one should do. What are the 4 things? One of them is Namaha, or offering obeisances. What are those 4 things? Who knows? It's a Bhagavad Gita quiz. There we go. Namaskuru, offering obeisances. Manmana, always think of Krishna. Bhava, mad bhakta, become Krishna's bhakta. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji, worship Krishna and offer obeisances to Krishna. Pretty simple. Too simple. It's got to be more complicated. Then it's genuine, right? Now here it's a long text, and there's Durvasa Muni holding on to the lotus feet of Ambarish. There's Ambarish looking at Sudarshana. This is from his prayers, actually, that we're reading. He's praying to Sudarshana to give your mercy to this fellow that's clutching my feet, because he's been harassed by you, by your intense heat. It's a nice section. The whole Ambarish story, 9th canto, chapter 5. Of course, it starts in chapter 4, because by chapter 5 he's saying his prayers to pacify the personality of Godhead, who became very angry because what Durvasa Muni was doing. He was in big trouble, Durvasa Muni. Next verse. Oh, master of speech, by your effulgence, full of religious principles, the darkness of the world is dissipated, and the knowledge of learned persons or great souls is manifested. Indeed, no one can surpass your effulgence, for all things manifested and unmanifested, gross and subtle, superior and inferior, are but various forms of you that are manifested by your effulgence. So the effulgence of the Lord and the effulgence of the Sudarshan Chakra, both, they're important. But in principle, effulgence is rest upon something. Light is resting upon something. The light of the moon, light of the sun, is resting upon the moon or the sun. And without the light of the moon and the sun, there's darkness. So the light is to be honored, as that's what Ambarish is praying. Oh, undefatigable one, when you are sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to enter among the soldiers of the Daityas and the Danavas, you stay on the battlefield and unendingly separate their arms, bellies, thighs, legs, and heads, protecting the devotees. That's the verse. There's the Lord with the Sudarshan Chakra. And then just a little smidgen from the purport here. Illumination by knowledge comes from Sudarshana, because With the illumination of Sudarshana, one can distinguish one thing from another, the superior from the inferior. So by good fortune, Durvasa went to the superior. And the superior was a facility proximate to the great devotee Ambarish, so he was in good company. Continuing, oh, protector of the universe, you are engaged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his all-powerful weapon for killing the envious enemies for the benefit of our entire dynasty. See, it's the prayer to Sudarshan. Please, kindly, favor this poor Brahmana. This will certainly be a favor for all of us. So Ambarish is praying to Sudarshana to show your favor upon the attempted murderer fellow. Now, all of this is, we're going into the temple, and there's these scriptural references indicating the importance of this, that, and the other deity, or what one sees when one enters the temple. There is an eternal lamp or jyotir that has been burning continuously since time immemorial in the inner sanctum. Inner sanctum means like the temple room. There's entrances into, and then there's the inner sanctum, or the temple room itself. And next, there's the 5 Badaris. Of course, they're spelled differently by different authors, but Badari, just like in Badarikashram, Badari. Well, Badri, we make it shorter without an extra syllable or vowel. Badari becomes Badri. Like Prabhupada named one of his disciples, Badrinath. Maybe some of you know him. He's based in San Diego. Very nice devotee, Badrinath. He's been here to Houston on a number of occasions also. He's a nice devotee. He's very funny too. When he gives class, everyone's laughing. He's good. So, Badari is another spelling, and there's 5 of them, and we're going to go through the 5 of them because they're mentioned in Shastra, and it's what one experiences, one may experience when you visit Badrinath. Badari Vishal. This is the modern day Badri. It is said that this Badari Vishal is the place where Madhvacharya, when he came to experience or get confirmation from Vyasadeva, here's what happened. Twice. This is a little background. Madhvacharya was a self-realized soul. However, he demonstrated the necessity of having a spiritual master. So by choice, he chose as his spiritual master Srila Vyasadeva. How'd you like to have Vyasadeva as your spiritual master? Good luck. I mean, even to get to him, it was superhuman to get to him. Because Vyasadeva doesn't reside on the earthly plane. He resides in a place that's described, we'll see as we go further, as Uttar Badari, or the higher plane, higher plane. So the higher, what does that mean, higher plane? Well, just like there's 7 lower planetary systems, 7 upper planetary systems, the topmost of those upper planetary systems is what? Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, Brahmaloka. And then there's regions above Brahmaloka that they're not normal places of habitation, that's the place, one of the places where Vyas resides, Uttar Badri. And what's he doing there? He's engaged in austerities. And he's preparing, according to nice scriptural indication. Listen carefully. You've probably thought about this. I've pondered about this, a bunch of times till I came with this explanation. In the cycle of the 4 yugas, it starts way up here. Then it goes down, then it goes down, then it goes down, and then it's Kali Yuga and it's still going down. And then what's the next yuga? It's way back up there again. Satya Yuga. How does it go from, the pits of Kali Yuga all the way back up there again? Isn't that a good question? Well, there's 2 main scriptural references that I've come across. One of them is Vyasadeva descends from Uttar Badri and makes himself available to the Satya Yuga circumstances and helps generate pure, spiritual goodness. There's still some mix, but spiritual goodness. So Satya Yuga, through his influence. There are also 2 personalities that have that as a service. They're rishis, they have names, and they know what their service is. And at the end of the 4 yugas, they also make themselves available, and by their influence and Vyasa's influence, they have this capacity to bring things back up again. And without them, we'd be in a big problem. So that's where Vyasadeva is. These 5 Badri places, they're in the earthly plane. There's deities in each of these places. So it's the modern day, it's a place where for 48 days before going to Uttar Badri, Madhvacharya underwent austerities and meditation. We'll hear a little bit more about those austerities and meditation. Who's that behind Madhvacharya? Madhvacharya's with 2 fingers in the air, Dvaita Vad. The living entity, it's the whole thing. Living entity and the Supreme are different, as opposed to they're one. They're different. There's 4 other items, or Panchabheda, anyways, besides Madhva's philosophy. He went to this place, Badri Vishal, and for 48 days he fasted. 48 days he fasted and engaged in meditations and so forth. We'll hear more about that. Then a second Badri location. This has a nice temple. The Utsav deities are brought here in the winter to be worshipped by a single Brahmana. The deities are brought back to Badri Vishal when it becomes free from snow. During the winter, Badri Vishal, at Badri Vishal, the demigods look after the deity of Badri Narayana. Food and articles of worship are left there for the demigods to use. Interesting? I mean, the pujaris have to be punctual, right? And when it's a cold season, they're still punctual because you got to be punctual. So the Supreme Lord has to be served. And the demigods serve them. And they leave the paraphernalia and the food articles and you name it during that winter season when you can't move. It's snow everywhere. Yoga Dhyana Badri. Vridha Badri. There's a little altar, temple on the right side, and that's where there's a deity of Lord Narayana. The painting is just a painting, it's not the deity, It's the personality of Godhead appeared before Aditi, and she, Aditi, worshipped him. And it's this four-armed Narayan form that's in this temple. Dhyana Badri, 8 kilometers from Vrinta Badri, on the other side of the Alaknanda River. Now, it just looked like a ranger outpost or something, you know. Who stays in that place? But some people stay in that place. And, you know, through all 4 seasons. That's a very austere place. Here's something further, of Dhyana Badri. Lord Shiva, the greatest of the Vaishnavas, should first be approached and his permission sought for entering a holy place of pilgrimage. So exactly the location of this, I'm not clear, but the principle is very clear. Before entering into the holy place, one goes to the Dhyana Badri and asks permission. And then number 5, Bhavishya Badri. According to the Shastras, in Kali Yuga, this deity will become invisible to pilgrims, so that Bhavishya Badri will be attainable. Becomes not invisible but visible, accessible, visible. Bhavishya Badri will have identical deity forms of the Lord. It will be something like an embassy in a foreign country. For the most part, people that visit Badrinath don't get into all these details. They go to the main temple, and that's pretty much it. But in case somebody is a little into the detailed mode, there are these additional places. And they each have a meaning, etc. So just like an embassy is treated like the country, although it's just an embassy, so also this temple and this deity is treated that way, 12 kilometers away from the main temple. Now, Madhvacharya had as his spiritual master Vyasadeva. And it's a big gap of time between when Madhvacharya was around and when he met. There was no in-between. There were teachers, but not spiritual master. So he was special. Yeah, as I stopped. It's saying in one photograph of Madhvacharya shows Hanuman and Bhima behind them, because they're all sons, all 3 are sons of Vayu, the wind god. So they're brothers, or stepbrothers. Different mothers, but stepbrothers. So Madhvacharya accepted Vyasadeva as a spiritual master. And which one did he go to meet Vyasadeva? Well, he didn't go to any one of them. What the text says is Uttar Badri. And how he got to Uttar Badri is a fascinating story. There's a biography about him. He didn't write it. It's not autobiography. But he, as the son of the wind god, had strength. And he could zoom. His walking was jumping, and his jumping was leaping, and so when he was going to this Uttar Badri, after 48 days of fasting, etc., he said, you stay behind, I'm going to go meet Vyasadeva. When he got some indication of the blessings of Vyasadeva. Madhvacharya instructed his followers to stay at some distance, and then he sat down at the lotus feet of the deities of Narayan Rishi. as Lord Krishna and Arjuna, they were the original speaker and hearer of the Bhagavad Gita, Madhvacharya had his Gita Bhasya, and he wanted Vyasadeva to verify his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. So he sat before Narayana Rishi. And we heard all these nice things about partial incarnations of Narayana Rishi entered into the body of Arjuna, the one entity. The deity replied, even though you are capable of explaining the entire meaning of Bhagavad Gita, you have not done to the best of your ability. Therefore, you should have said, to some extent, instead of to the best of my ability, in your introductory verse. You have only slightly exercised your power of expression and not fully. So he's getting chastised by the deity. So similarly, in this painting, you see in the background with two clubs, there's Bhima and there's Hanuman. Again, the same father. So because he, Madhvacharya, was the son of the wind god, he could jump or he could move very quickly. He was very powerful. There's all these stories or examples of his strength. For 48 days, Madhvacharya remained in the temple of Badri, observing Vaishnava Mona. He did not speak anything except his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and he abstained from food and sleep for 48 days. Just before sunrise every day, he bathed in the icy, cold water of the Ganges. Brr. Then, one night, an effulgent form appeared before Madhvacharya, prompting him to go to Uttar Badri, the ashram of Vyasadeva. The next morning at sunrise, he wrote a note to his followers explaining how Srila Vyasadeva had appeared before him and instructed him to come to his ashram. The note continued, practically, there is no other holy place like Badri, the destroyer of all sins. There is no other water equal to the holy Ganges. There is no deity on the level with the Lord Vishnu, and no other philosophy can compare with ours, meaning Bhagavad Gita. I am going to Uttar Badri to see Srila Vyasadeva. Only he knows whether I will return here or not. Just remain here, waiting for that time. Haribol. He just left a note and off he went. His chief disciple, Satyatirtha, read the note to the others and forbade them to try following their acharya. However, Satyatirtha was so attached to his spiritual master and was fully prepared to give up his life in his service, could not bear separation from Madhvacharya, and so he followed him. Didn't last too long, because Madhvacharya moved at such speed and jumped at such distances with each step, he couldn't keep up, especially in the upper regions of the Himalayas. It's not easy going. Satyatirtha could not keep up with his guru, even though he climbed as fast as he could. When sunset approached, it was obvious that Satyatirtha would perish in the icy winds of the night. In desperation, he called out to his spiritual master. Madhva turned and gestured, indicating Satyatirtha should return to his godbrothers. Just then, a powerful gust of wind lifted Satyatirtha up and carried him back to the ashram. Vayu. Where he then related the glories of Madhvacharya to the others. And this is our final slide. This is their first meeting. He made a second trip. The second trip was to get confirmation on his commentary on Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. And, he got an A in his exam. The professor said, very good. So that's for us, the significance of Badrinath is a place where confirmation of our disciplic line, but other than our disciplic line, many people go there because it's a sacred place. Even it's remote and difficult to get to, and there's certain seasons you can't go. In certain seasons it's possible to go. So that's when the pilgrims go. It's like there's a big rush of many pilgrims. It's a very special place. And anyone who has been there feels it. It's a very special place. In that region, along with the main temple, there's this little path that pilgrims walk on, and one of the places you visit when you go on that little path is over on the right. There's the gufa, or the cave of Vyas, and there he is sitting there, and there's Ganesh next to him, and he's engaged in speaking Mahabharata. And Ganesh is very busy with his writing, trying to keep up with him. It's a very special place. I'll just end with this. And one of the most memorable things for me in visiting, besides it was way up there, you go further and further and further and further and further up on this trail, and all of a sudden you see, it looks like a water fountain. But it's not just, a trickle of water. It's this unending gushing of water coming out the side of a mountain. It looks weird. I mean, like, where's that water coming from? And it's not, the common explanation, it's the glacier melting. Give me a break. How big is that glacier? Where'd the glacier come from? And how many years has that water been coming out, and it's just a melting of a glacier? And it's freezing up there. The glacier is melting. And the whole of the Ganges River is coming out the side of a mountain. Come on. Give me another explanation, please. And there is another explanation. I don't know what, scientists and disbelievers have to say, but I know what the scripture says. And it's not a melting glacier. It's impressive. It's a lot of water. As the water goes down, it's the Ganges River. And how wide is the Ganges River? It's a lot of water coming from the side of a mountain. It's like, I'm saying it over and over again because as I'm speaking, I'm remembering what I saw, and it's, have a science background to look at water coming out the side of a mountain. It's like, what's going on? Bhagirata brought it, that's how. Okay, let's see if there's some discussion. We have 17 minutes, and the bell's going to ring. Then it's time for lunch.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the nice class. Maharaj, I didn't understand the section where you talked about the Paribhasha Sutra and how Krishna is the origin of all avatars. What I mean by that is, I understood the section, but I didn't understand how it is connected to Badrinath.
Narayan. Let's go back. Before the Paribhasa Sutra. From whom do the incarnations, the avatars of Vishnu, From whom do they expand? And you keep going back and going back and going back, and it's Krishna, but before, after Krishna, there's Narayana. There's the three Vishnu forms. Where did three Vishnu forms come from? Expansions of Narayana. That's the connection.
Thank you. It's talking about the deity Badrinath and how is connected to Krishna.
Same. Krishna's the source. So the deity of this Vishnu form or that Vishnu form or another Vishnu form, they're all from the original source. Same. There is an original source.
Thank you.
Okay.
Krishna Maharaj, about Durvas Muni offending Ambrish Maharaj. Like Ambrish Maharaj prayed after Durvas Muni offended him.
Yes.
So if Durvas Muni was a devotee, then the effect
No. But you don't conjecture like that. He's not. He was envious. He had powers, but he wasn't a devotee. Now, if he was a devotee, then he wouldn't do what he did.
Not of that level of offense, but general offense. Like
Okay, supposing the devotee X, supposing you or any one of us sitting in the room, we make some offense to a devotee, then
if the other devotee prays for the Lord on behalf of us,
yeah.
So what about our offense? It's getting more and more.
No, if the not only the offense was excused, because that's what Lord Vishnu said, go back and get the excuse, become excused. So it wasn't like cosmetic excuse. It wasn't a cosmetic apology. He's got Sudarshan Chakra hot on his back. It's life and death. It was serious. He was deeply regretting his mistake. And the regret was accepted, but more than that, give your benediction to this fellow.
Yes, Maharaj.
So, if your question is, does it depend on the devotee to give excuse, and is that sufficient? Yes. From the Lord's point of view, yes. Now, let me ask you a question. If one makes an offense and the offense is excused, does that take away the capacity or tendency to do it again? No. No. The reaction is gone, but the tendency is still there.
Yes. Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I have two small comments.
Three.
Huh?
Three?
Two.
Two, okay.
The first thing is when you talked about how you should see Lord Shiva and think of Lord Shiva before you go to a holy dham. I remembered like Gopeshwar Mahadev for Vrindavan. And so that was a nice connection that I was thankfully able to make. And then last thing is like, when there's differences between like Srimad Bhagavatam and Mahabharata, I would think, is it a good way to think of it like it's just a difference in like the different kalpas, like kalpa bhed, like there was just some difference and you just like accept it like
About
that?
different iterations of the Bhagavatam, is that what you're asking?
Differences in like pastimes between Srimad Bhagavatam and
Yeah.
Mahabharata.
Yes. Different millennium or different kalpas.
Yeah.
Kalpa beta.
Yeah,
That's it. When there's differences. An important point is there's consistency in principle and there's variation in detail. But the principle has everything to do with rasa. Detail also has something to do with rasa. But the core rasa or mood of loving service is essentially the same, although the details may be different. So the embellishment of what the devotee and the Lord are experiencing is variegated, but the core rasa principle remains, or it's consistent. Does that help? Okay.
And thank you so much for this whole session. I couldn't go to Badrinath, so it was really nice to experience it.
So we came to you.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for the presentation. I have two things. One is expressing my gratitude, and the other is the feedback.
The other is?
Feedback. The gratitude is thank you for bringing this virtual presentation to us. Some of us might not get the opportunity to visit these places, but you have brought those finer details and made our Thanksgiving holiday worthwhile. The feedback is, like for myself, I enjoy the rasas, the bhava, and have appreciated your kadambini, Madhurya Kadambini, and you helped me to connect the spiritual process and brought that how this process works. Forgive me for my deficiencies for not appreciating at the same level for all the cantos of Bhagavatam. I feel bad that, but I feel I've heard devotees who
You
have...
feel what?
I've heard devotees who have accompanied you in your journey in the Vrindavan.
Yeah.
When you did that yatra, I have that desire, if you can bring that virtual trip to us someday.
Come join us next year.
Okay, yeah.
If you can. And if not, we'll see what happens.
Thank you, that's all.
Okay. Hare Krishna. I don't know if everybody's hungry. I think everyone's tired. But thank you for sticking it out. Yes.
Haribol Guru Maharaj, thank you for the class. This question is from my mom.
Yeah.
So when Uddhava was getting instructed by Krishna, why, and Vidura also came there, why did Krishna ask Vidura to not take the instructions from Uddhava? I didn't quite understand the question perfectly, but yeah.
It's a detail. And it's not that Krishna said, it was the humility of Vidura. That is to say, there was further questions and further questions from Vidura. Uddhava felt, nice questions, but in the presence of a senior person, the question should go to the senior person. And he's just around the corner up there in Haridwar. So go pay him a visit up in Haridwar. Because that's out of respect to this more senior person. That's all.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I had one more question.
Okay.
This was based on the letter to, I think the name was Sarati.
Yeah, Saradiya.
Saradiya. In there, it was mentioned that Arjuna and Kunti are eternal associates of Krishna in the material world.
Yes.
So, as we are also in the material world,
Yeah.
is that a choice we make, or our final destination is also the spiritual world?
Everything is up to Krishna, right? So we're in Krishna's hands, and whatever he says, it's yes, sir. And the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to be in the association of Krishna in the spiritual world. Because we're not in the category of Kunti and Arjuna and eternal associates. We're not in the same category in Bhoma Lila. So that they're unique. So Vrindavan, or Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, that's our aspiration and destination.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay? You have something.
I just wanted to, show my gratitude and thank you, Maharaj, for bringing this presentation. I myself grew up in that area,
Yeah. Yeah.
but close by, not in Badrinath, but not far from Badrinath region. But we, growing up, we didn't appreciate the, the spiritual part of it, and even, even though we grew up there, but I'm now trying to become a devotee because of the association of Srila Prabhupada's disciples and devotees. So even, so just growing up, being there, is good. Probably it helped me in Krishna consciousness, is still helping.
Very much
But,
so.
yeah.
You got a head start beyond, the rest of us. Honest. I mean, that's my perception. You can say no, 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 and I'll say yes, yes. It's you were favored, and what was the cause of that favor? Unknown past activities that put you in such. So, the fact that you are not in touch with a bona fide or qualified Vaishnava, that's not. It's an extra, special qualification. And how do you become qualified? Just get mercy. If such persons give their mercy, then you got it. And you're the fact that you and other family members are taking to Krishna Bhakti the way that you are, is an indication you're just like dry wood and touched by fire, and you became kindled. But you're being already dry wood is different than being wet wood. That's advantage. Okay, we're going to end. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.